Your Office of Alumni Relations is once again grateful for your participation. Moreover, we are appreciative to each panelist who volunteered in their area of expertise. We did not seek you out, but you came running like the spirit of a mighty panther, which we are, sharing your knowledge base when the call to participate went forth. As we move into our fourth seminar for this month, remember that we have talked about the many roles we find ourselves juggling and how difficult it can be to determine where to spend our time. Our second seminar covered that it's not time for us to give up on our career goals or ignore your interests while staying true to yourself. And last week, the panelists shared how to search through the gravel while grasping knowledge to reach the big rock. Before we begin our interaction today, here's a tad bit of history on the Office of Alumni Relations signature event named From Pause to Clause. The Alumni Student Networking event was originally designed in 2008 when Kareem Taylor, class of 2010, in his sophomore year expressed that students should learn from alumni. Over the years, we continuously call on the alumni community to embrace our alumni in waiting, commonly known as students. We want to encircle them because we are the only permanent alumni. We are only the permanent constituency of our alma mater. As Cubs, they pounce through discovery, academically, socially, and spiritually, finding their way. As their talents grow into claws and become fully entrenched felines of service, locally, nationally, and globally, while remembering to provide financial support and develop into citizens of this world. There is more about the program, and feel free to read the entire historical review in the alumni section on our CAU website. This newest edition is dedicated to the Perfect Vision class of 2020. As an alumni community, we did not have the opportunity to fully engage this class in the spring. So we can begin our conversation, I would like to express many thanks to my colleague, Chastity B. Evans, class of 2010, who will serve as your host. She also serves as the program manager in the Office of Alumni Relations, and she developed this series. Chastity, it's time to take us into our conversation.
Thank you so much, Alumna Galen E. Gatewood Joshua, for the beautiful introduction and greetings. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining your Office of Alumni Relations for the Vision 2020 series, Prioritizing Self-Care While Advancing Your Career, Mindfulness Tools for Uncertain Times webinar. I would like to also provide a special thank you to alumna Dr. Michelle Rose, Program Specialist for the Office of Online Learning and Continuing Education, for being the technical guru of this webinar. We're going to move on down to the purpose for today. So as you all know, we have some true bosses on the panel today to break down self-care and its importance during these challenging times. Before you reach for your do-it-yourself natural hair and beard game facials, remember that self-care also means taking care of yourself physically and emotionally. By making small adjustments to your daily routine, you can be more productive in advancing your career forward. You also no longer have to spend hours scrolling through the relaxation apps and the App Store for anxiety relief. A really accessible set of tools is available to help make you feel calmer and grounded when anxiety or stress strikes. Even better, the same set of resources can energize you when the afternoon, evening, morning, what does time mean again? Slump hits. So, we're all on that COVID time, #COVID time. Best of all, there's no online ordering or delayed shipping involved because you already have everything you need with our alums who are going to bring you up to speed. So just a little few housekeeping rules for everyone before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. I will bring them up during our Q&A section to discuss. All right, now let's get on down to it. Now, without further ado, introducing our first panelist for this afternoon, Alumna Arnina Hill. A native New Yorker, Alumna Hill came to Clark College from Cairo, Georgia, and graduated in 1983 with a degree in business education. She loves her school and is incredibly grateful for all she has been blessed with thanks to her college journey. Her student activities included Cinema Club, Lord Judiciary Council, Alpha Sweetheart, Freshman Guide, and a majorette for the Marching Panther Band. Alumna Hill was initiated into Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Fall 1980, Alpha Pi Chapter. She served as parliamentarian and president and was recognized with several undergraduate awards at regional conferences. Thanks to Clark College, she visited Ben Hill United Methodist Church in 1980 and has been a member since 1985, where she served as an usher with the Social Concerns Ministry, Staff Parish Relations Committee, and as a chair of the Youth Adult Ministry. She has served as a deputy voter registrar and supports various charities. Alumna Hill graduated from college with a degree in teaching. However, she chose a corporate career that lasted 25 years and includes experiences in sales, banking, administration, and operations. Her employers have included IBM, Georgia Pacific Operations, MARTA, Dow Chemical, and First Union Bank. Life happened, and she became an entrepreneur in 2009. As CEO of Innovative Benefits Consultants, the Benefits Lady offers her clients a unique value proposition that creates innovative solutions to life needs, such as funding college tuition, supplementing retirement, mitigating losses due to health emergencies, and business succession. Her love for education has never ended, as her passion is to teach her clients the academics of how to use life insurance while you are still living. Alumna Hill genuinely believes that our alumni voices matter and is passionate about getting us to realize our rightful place as key stakeholders to protect the legacy of our alma mater. She serves as a mentor to many students, supports the Pre-Alumni Council, is a member of the Atlanta chapter of our Alumni Association, the National Alumni Association, a past member of the Clark Atlanta Athletics Booster Association, and past member of the Panther 300 Club. Other roles and offices she has held within the alumni community are planning committee to do athletic fundraising with the Panther 300 Club, membership chair of the National Alumni Association. She has served as the Atlanta chapter chair of Political Action Committee, chair of Student Activities Committee, corresponding secretary, nominations committee, representative to the HBCU Alliance, and she just completed serving 4 years as president of the Atlanta chapter, CAU-AA. When she is just being Alumna Hill, the most important role she will ever play and is most proud of is being a mother to her son, Malcolm. A political junkie at the insistence of friends, she finally started her political blog entitled Strong Coffee. She enjoys networking, cooking, cultural activities, sports, and playing fantasy football. Wow, we have a true boss on the call today, guys. Welcome, Alumna Hill. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel and for serving your alma mater. We cannot thank you enough.
Thank you very much, Chastity, and thank you to you, Gayland, and the Office of Alumni Affairs for giving me this humble honor to serve the alumni community once again.
Thank you. Now we're going to move into your first question for this afternoon. In the U.S. and other cultures, women are taught to put others first. How can we prioritize self-care to recognize that our physical and emotional experience is as valuable as our job and other roles we may fill?
Okay. First, let's look at why we prioritize others before ourselves. Because we're taught and expected to nurture and please everyone. Sometimes it's cultural. Sometimes it's just what we were used to watching when we were growing up in our homes. But the reality is that a lot of it comes from what society expects and of women. We're supposed to take care of the man, take care of the kids, run the house. And it's to the point that when we see a man contributing to those roles, we make a big deal out of it. We act as if we're shocked to see that. But what I like to tell people is don't fall victim to happiness proxy. And that means you measure your happiness by how happy everyone is that's around you. We pour all our energy into pleasing other people, and we focus on their needs while ignoring our own. For mothers, the pressure is intense. And our culture has created this litmus test where everyone feels that it's rarely applied to men. And it says if you have the relationship, the family, the great career, and a fantastic social life, then you've arrived. And we need a serious paradigm shift on that kind of thinking. So how do we get there? I have a few things put in the toolkit that I'll list for you. First, we have to give ourselves permission to focus on ourselves and have happiness without the guilt. You need to reassess some things and relationships in your life and make a list of what really makes you happy. And what you'll find is that happiness really is kind of simple. I found, as I reprioritize things in my life and getting a little bit older, closer to where I would like to retire, I'm an empty nester now. When I sit down and make the list of things that are important to me, it's as simple as doing nothing sometimes. It's taking myself to a restaurant to treat myself. It's wanting to spend more time with my friends. It's doing things that I couldn't do while I was raising my son, like being more involved with my sorority and doing more community service. So you need to sit down and take inventory of what's going on in your life. And if someone asks you, you want to love yourself enough so that when someone asks you the question, how are you doing? The answer does not include you articulating the happiness of everyone else that's in your life. And you're just talking about yourself. You're talking about what's making the kids happy, what your husband's up to. What are you doing that's making you happy? So if you find yourself answering a question like that, then it's really time to sit down and take an assessment. You need balance. I can't stress that enough. It's okay to say no. I've had to learn that the hard way. You just have to, pick your poison. Even as an empty nester, you don't want to take on too much of the stuff that you didn't get to do. When you're raising the children, you have to assess, okay, one, is this activity going to take them away from their schoolwork? How is this activity going to happen and schoolwork is not impacted? I can speak to my own experience. My son will be 24 later this year, but when he was younger, he was all sports year round. Football took me a long time to get to because I was working full time and I could not fathom how parents were doing a 9 to 5, picking up a child to be at practice by 6:30, practice till 8:30. And at my house, bedtime was 9 o'clock. Where does the homework happen? When does dinner happen? Fortunately for me, I had a career change where I could work from home. He could come home and he could also play football because I didn't see how we were going to do that. He had opportunities to do AAU, but I said no because that was going to be too much. That involved traveling. But he was happy doing the basketball that we were doing. So those are the things you want to assess is, when you're taking on activities for yourself as well as the family, where's the balance? Boundaries. You got to set boundaries. And you need to do it without feeling guilty about doing it and making it a positive experience for the person that you're setting the boundaries for. You don't always have to be so available that you're unable to set boundaries when you really need to. Sometimes you do too much, and then when you realize you want to fall back, it makes it difficult, and it can create some precarious situations. But before you say yes to someone or an activity, you want to make sure it doesn't result in you saying no to yourself. Okay? And I see setting boundaries as an act of self-love, as well as a way of respecting others. You want to replenish your reserves. And for this one, I have the perfect quote from one of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou. And I'll read that to you real quick. On taking time for yourself, each person deserves a day away in which no problems are confronted, no solutions searched for. Each of us needs to withdraw from the cares which will not withdraw from us. A day away acts as a spring tonic. It can dispel rancor, transform indecision, and renew the spirit. Again, I'll give you an example of my personal experience of how I used to do this. My son was younger. It was just me and him. And instead of the typical visitation for every other weekend, I stuck Wednesday in there. That was my day in the middle of the week to do whatever I wanted to do. If it was grocery shopping without a small child in tow, that's what I did. If it was my hair appointment or my nail appointment, that's what I did. Regardless of your situation, you want to build your villages, and you want to share the duties within the family, but you have to take time for yourself.
I wholeheartedly agree in terms of that. Sometimes we get so involved with things that are around us, whether it's family, whether it's joining organizations, starting a new job, being a caregiver, being a wife, being a husband, being a mom, whatever the case may be, that we always, for some odd reason, forget about ourselves. So thank you so much, Alumna Hill, for those awesome points. I mean, I think I might need to revisit my vision board after those and kind of put some of those self-care topics up there because, I want to look like y'all when I grow up, just saying. Seasoned alums, not y'all, our seasoned alums, okay? Because they look great. Like Alumna Juanita Eber, she looks amazing, and she just celebrated her birthday. So thank you again. Thank you so much, Alumna Hill. If you all have any questions for Alumna Hill, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now. We'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. Thank you so much, Alumna Hill. Now, introducing our next panelist for this afternoon is another big hitter, alumna Dr. Michelle Duke Rhodes. Dr. Rhodes is a proud graduate of Clark College, class of 1985, with a BA, magna cum laude, and Clark Atlanta University, class of 1992, with an MBA. She also has a Doctor of Management with honors from the University of Phoenix School of Advanced Studies. And she just graduated, so congratulations. We're proud of you, girl. She currently serves Clark Atlanta University in the Office of Online Learning and Continuing Education. Academically, Dr. Rhodes is an associate adjunct professor for Ashford University and served as an adjunct professor in business and management for Shorter University, Georgia Military College, and Clark Atlanta University. Professionally, Dr. Rhodes has served as Director of Business Development, IPD Corporation, Director of Enrollment, Apollo Education Group, Marketing Manager for the Marriott Corporation, Project Manager for SunTrust Corporation, and appointed the first Director of Student Activities for CAU during the consolidation from 1989 to 1996. Actively engaged in the community, Dr. Rhodes is a promoter of women empowerment and youth development. She serves on the Board of Advisors for the Marvelous Light Foundation and appointed to the Board of Directors for Women's University, serving the metropolitan Atlanta area, and immediate past chairman of the board for Amario's Art Academy for Gifted and Talented. Dr. Rose served on the executive board of the Guild Organization for CAU that awards over 100,000 in scholarships to students in the fine arts and music at Clark Atlanta University, and the Athletic Boosters Organization that supports and awards scholarships to CAU athletic programs. Alumna Dr. Rose continues to serve the community as an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Psi Alpha Omega Graduate Chapter. She was initiated in the fall of 1983, Alpha Pi Chapter CAU. Dr. Rose is the wife of 32 years to Stuart, who is a retired firefighter. They have 2 children. Both are CAU alums, Megan, class of 2017, and Jalen, who just graduated, class of 2020. Congratulations, Jalen. Alumna Dr. Rose believes education is the key to unlock the doors to being all you can be. Use your time wisely to mind map your desires and pursue them. No matter what position you may hold in your organization, do your best, do the most, and represent yourself with dignity. You only have one time to make a first impression and make yours count. So, with all being said, Alumna Rose, thank you so much for being a part of this panel and for always continuing to serve your alma mater. How are you doing today? You gotta unmute yourself. There you go.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, so thank you so much for that introduction. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be on this panel. This is a distinguished group that I have the pleasure of sharing the panel with. It's always wonderful to be a Hill, to be with our alumna Mabry, but it's Woodard now, and alumna Williams, thank you so much, and to the Office of Alumni Affairs. Alumni Hill, you said some wonderful things. You pretty much mirrored, I think you saw my speech, but I'm going to take it more from a checklist standpoint, because in a lot of ways, we all struggle with allowing ourselves to have self-care and me time. Mm-hmm. And if we do that, we allow ourselves to thrive. So to take heed that self-care is like an oxygen mask. It drops down on a plane. You need it and take care of you first before you can properly take care of others. So with that being said, self-care is about your own well-being, physically, mentally, and spiritually. There's nothing wrong with indulging in that and yourself. Not feel guilty about that. And as Alumna Hill stated, remember, no isn't really saying no. It's just setting those boundaries where you can be the best that you can be. So if you check off your list about a self-care, first of all, you need to respect yourself. When you respect yourself, it helps you to grow, because self-care is negative emotions. You know how sometimes self-consciously we can be our own worst critic, and emotions and these little voices start to talk while you're sitting there just thinking. So what you want to do is make sure that you're not letting those negative emotions get into play. So let your me time allow you to rejuvenate, to cope with stress. You want to be able to take your breaks. You want to be able to have resilience, focus, keep your energy level up, because it will help you in your productivity. Now, right now, we're in a day and time where we're COVID-19. Now with COVID-19, that 19 is real clear. Let's know that 19 means that COVID-19 pounds that we gained while we're at home. So we have to look at that checklist of taking care of ourselves physically. Take long walks. It helps to relax your mind. You want to curb that emotional eating. Find stuff to do so you're not snacking all the time, the refrigerator, grabbing those chips. Because you know what? a lot of that physical attention on yourself, it weighs you down. You know, if you eat certain type of food, you don't feel that productive. You don't feel like you have energy. So you want to make sure that you're putting the right things in your body. Also, when you check off that list, you have to eliminate your surroundings. Get off of social media. Turn off your telephone. Put on some relaxing jazz, WCOK if you want to listen to jazz, best station, and just kind of reflect, clear your mind, clear your heart, take a deep breath. I'm here, I'm doing well, I'm going to reflect on some positive things. So you want to make sure that you're engaging in all of that when you're talking about your checklist for self-care.
I mean, I would have thought that you was over here spitting a rhyme or some poetry or something. I was about to start doing this in a minute. I'm like, okay. But yes, we'll wait for the Zen later. So how would you recommend people in non-management positions to advocate for the importance of self-care to like management or administration?
Okay, well, when we're looking at that, first we have to realize we should not have to explain to a manager about self-care. We have to learn how to control that situation within our work environment. Sometimes we find our success as achievement. So we tend to overwork, overindulge, and just lose ourselves. And what we have to realize is that in order to be productive on the work site and in your job, you have to equate to weave in self-care into your workday. So what you have to do is cut yourself a break. Sometimes we're our own harshest critic when it work. And we tend to be harsh on ourselves. And that tends to provide a mental state of, you probably start getting migraines. You start taking so many things personally on the job, because sometimes you have to realize that criticism isn't necessarily something negative. So we have those things and turn them around and realize how we can make them an opportunity or make them something positive. Then we also have to place ourselves in the situation and say, okay, now what did I do to contribute to that? So when we're talking about the workplace, we can't engage in self-sabotage, because sometimes if we get disappointed in something that has happened, we tend to move away and fall into habits, not only that weren't normally ours, but they're habits of others in the workplace. We might start taking longer coffee breaks. We might start coming to work late. We start packing up our desk at 4:30, but we don't leave until 5. We stay on the phone. We start surfing the internet. We start shopping. All of these things we're doing on work time. So what we have to do is realize in that self-management, we have to maintain our professionalism and time and resources on the job. So you want to value your time, your money, your resources. When you do well at work, take that victory lap. It's okay because you did well. And if nobody else pats you on the back, you need to know that you did a good job. You don't know what people around you are saying. In addition to that, update your workspace. Have you gone into somebody's office and they have piles and stacks of paper and everything? Clear it, clear the clutter. Make your space a space of relief. When you start to do those things in your environment, then your supervisors and your managers will take a look at it. You structure your time. You take charge, because it's all about self-preservation. And you need to make sure that you surround yourself with good people that you engage with. So you just a checklist when it comes to work. You be proactive. Use your lunch time wisely. That's your sacred time. Do not grab your food, sit at your desk, and continue working while you're trying to eat. Sometimes you need to step away and preserve that time. You want to have regular check with your manager or your supervisor to find out where you are. What's their expectations? If you have a clear idea of your roadmap, then that will make your self-care and your job a lot easier, because you will not have any doubts or questions about you and what you're. So you want to request the time that you need to be happy and healthy. So if you have times to take that vacation day and call it your mental health day, then you need to. And make an effort to just be the best that you can be in that work environment, because you are number one.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rhodes.
You're quite welcome.
I mean, those points, all of us probably on this panel, because we're all some really good go-getters, you know, and we may all need to hear that, even the people that are on this webinar today, because self-care is what is keeping us alive, pretty much. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you again, Alumna Dr. Rhodes, for those essential tips and the materials. If you have any questions for Alumna Dr. Rhodes, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now. We will be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. All right, introducing our next panelist. This is getting juicy, y'all. Is alumnus Timothy Williams. Alumnus Timothy Williams is a current doctoral student majoring in political science at Clark Atlanta University. Hailing from Kansas City, Kansas, Alumnus Williams arrived at Atlanta, Georgia in 2009 to attend Morehouse College, where he received a Bachelor's of Art in Sociology and a minor in Criminal Justice. After graduating from Morehouse, Alumnus Williams enrolled at CAU in the fall of 2014 to receive a Master's in Sociology. Alumnus Williams committed himself as a professional to the field of education to study the theory and practice in tandem with research. As a seeker who understands the in-depth focus of dealing with race and urban studies, he anticipates to bring together scholarly research while implementing educational policy to progress academic opportunities for all. Alumnus Williams maintains a strong desire to critically examine issues in his surrounding communities. His overall goal is to work with the neighborhood to progress social justice and educational equity concerns, become one who acts with policymakers, and examine policy and the effects of policy on the system of education. Upon completion of his education, Alumnus Williams' intent is to work in the academia as a professor and researcher, or continue his research in organizations dedicated to issues of justice and educational equity. Alumnus Williams not only has a precise collegiate backdrop, he is also very versatile. He was part of AmeriCorps Jumpstart Program, ROTC, National Guard, Clark Atlanta University Sociology Association, and Breakthrough Atlanta. Currently, Alumnus Williams is affiliated with Alpha Kappa Delta, Alpha Phi Sigma, Pi Sigma Alpha, Pi Gamma Mu, Ujamaa Society, Mid-South Sociological Association, CAU Alumni Local Chapter Atlanta, and the Southwest Key Program. All right, well, thank you so much to the genius on the call today. I think you're muted as well.
You're funny. I appreciate you. The best in a long time. Thank you for allowing me to be on this call with you beautiful ladies. I'm overwhelmed with all this beauty on the line right now.
Yeah, we're dropping these jewels. So beauty and brains. There we go. So your first question for today. Being an adult often brings high stress, blood pressure, and anxiety. Do you feel that if you're not stressed, you're not trying or working hard enough? How can we change these expectations to move forward and let our hair down just a little? or just breathe a little?
I'm going to give knowledge to the ladies before me who laid down a good platform and framework to follow. I guess we've been reading each other's notes because we kind of saying the same things over each other. Just a good thing. It means we all have the same mind. I just recently started becoming an adult, being single and all this education. You know, you had a little free time with life. So, you know, things started getting kind of serious. So the adult life started coming in. And start really looking at things like, man, I'm an adult. I'm about to be 30. Like, what do I have to show for it? Like, you know, you start questioning things like, you know, do I want a family? Do I want a spouse? And you're comfortable where you're at, but you start having people on the outside looking in like, you know, what are you doing right now? What's your next move? And he's like, man, I'm just happy to be alive. You know, Black Lives Matter. So,
Exactly.
So, you know, you just start really sitting back and thinking, and this is when you're by yourself, all these thoughts start coming in. You really got to start sitting back and actually examining, what do I want out of life? Where does my life actually begin? Where does it end? Where's the beginning, middle, or end of it? And I recently just started having these questions with myself. A quote that was stuck with me, I don't know if you remember the movie Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn and Joker are having a conversation, and Joker's talking to Quinn, and he asks her to state this statement, desire becomes surrender, surrender becomes power. And that stuck with me for a long time. How I got from that was love thyself and know thyself. And I had really being 29 now, I never knew who Timothy Williams was. And I really had to kind of discover, who are you? You know what I'm saying? You know your name is Timothy Williams, but what are you about? What do you like? What do you love? What makes you cry? What's your fears? You got to really start asking yourself that, and you really start examining who you really are, what you don't like, what you tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate, the boundaries. And that's when it comes in. Now I just realize you got to get to know yourself in order for somebody else to understand you and love you. I think that's the most important thing. Like, if you can't love or appreciate yourself, you can't ask a situation or someone else to do the same towards you until you learn to appreciate what makes Chastity you, what makes Hill her, like what makes you, tick, and no one can love you until you know how to love yourself. Yeah, it was these books I've been reading. One book is called Wisdom of Buddha, which is a good book to read. This book I just finished recently is called The Way of the Superior Man by David. And the book I recently picked up now is Grow More. Morehouse graduate Ian Moore had got that. And you just start to read, and you really start to discover, you don't know who you are. You think you know who you are one day, then the next day something comes in and it changes your whole reality or perspective about stuff, even what you challenges your religion, what you believe, what you thought. I'm gonna leave it on this last note. There's 12 universal laws that I started looking at, basically laws of attraction. And you understand the metaphysical, philosophical, quantum physics, time, space, and gravity. And you don't really understand that stuff until you actually break it down and start looking at, okay, what is the law of division of divine oneness, the law of vibration, what else? Law of action, law of correspondence. What was another one? Law of cause and effect, laws of compensation, law of avocation, the law of perpetual transmutation. That's 8. 9, the law of relativity, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, and the law of gender. And all those set up for you to understand life in 3 phases. And this is what I come to understand. Transparency, communication, and what was the last one? Transparency, communication, and give me 1 second. Transparency, communication.
Be sure to drop those laws and those books in the Q&A section too, so people can take a look at those, because I mean, that's something that we all could definitely learn from and look up, to see what's in your mind frame. Like, what are you reading? Like, what are you taking to provide and have self-care and to fully understand what your body is telling you? Like you said, get to know who you are, what you stand for, and why you are taking the course in life that you're taking, or the course in life that the upper being, the person above us, is giving you to take. So
excellent. The last one was process, transparency, and communication. And I know this is kind of a taboo topic, but it's something that never really talked about, and I think it's more conversation than we said. Sexual frustration is real, and it plays out in your day-to-day life with relationships. Sex is something that needs to be discussed so people can understand that. I think that's something that's very not talked about in relationships and business practices and different arenas and stuff like that, how to go about being a platonic and non-platonic relationships and how to govern yourself. I think that's a topic that needs to be discussed as well.
Well, maybe that'll be something that we can, we are collegiate people, so we're always trying to research and educate and understand and realize, how we can stay on this earth just a little bit longer and make it a little bit friendlier and happier. And, you get what I'm saying. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Alumnus Williams, for your best practices and awareness. We'll have to come back to you in the Q&A section, because I'm sure people are gonna have questions regarding that. So if you all have questions for Alumnus Williams, please type them into the Q&A section in our Zoom control panel now. We will be sure to get to them during our Q&A session of the part. Okay. So last but never least, introducing our, the one that wears the intensified pink, final panelist for this afternoon. Alumna Dania Mabry Whitted. She's creative, she's witty, and she's an innovator. And this is what you get if you're lucky enough to work with Principal Planner of Events by Day and Wedding by Day, Alumna Dania Mabry Whitted. A 1996 graduate of Clark Atlanta University, Alumna Mabry Whitted received her degree in radio, TV, and film with a concentration in public relations. Since 2004, Day has brought her considerable talents to produce many events and weddings, including grand openings such as Slutty Vegan, galas, nonprofit charity events, fashion shows, pageants, and high-end celebrity social events. Day has produced events for the Negro League Basketball Foundation's Miss America organization, the Mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, Bronner Brothers, and Celebrity Kids fashion shows that benefit HIV and AIDS in Atlanta, Georgia. Her clientele list consists of doctors, CEOs, and athletes. Alumna Mabry Whitted is the former Student Activities Director for CAU. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Shelby County Alumni Chapter. She was she pledged, let me say that correctly, Sigma Chapter at CAU 1996. So, wow, you don't even, spring 1995. You don't even look a day older. You look great, girl. So we need to drink some of that. She's also the team mother of Houston Middle School girls basketball team, the former president and present board member of Clark Atlanta University Alumni Association Memphis chapter, and board member of the Boys and Girls Club Salamanca Center, volunteer for Ice Cube's Big 3 Young 3 program, and member of NAWBO and NABFEME. Alumna Mabry Whitted is married to former NBA player and coach Kevin Whitted. They have 2 children, Peyton, who is 25 and plays professional women's basketball in Indonesia, and Paige, who is 13, who is a middle school basketball standout. Wow. You have a 25-year-old? Really? Really? You telling the truth here? I don't think you're telling the truth here. Anywho, she looks like she's 25 herself. But thank you so much for being a part of this panel and serving your alma mater, Alumna Mabry Whitted. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
We zenning. So I guess you all can see what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn some zen, some relaxation. We might hear some waves in the background.
You are, because they say that in order to get prepared for your role, that you must go do research. So I'm at the beach. I'm researching.
All you guys are giving me some kudos today. I might just go light my little ocean breeze candle over here and just imagine
Ocean breeze candle.
It smells good. It smells really good. So your first question for the day, Alumna with it. As a wife, entrepreneur, and mother, what type of personal rituals help you recharge? And how can we as alums and students find our happy place during troubled times, especially during what we're going through now? I mean, it's been so much. I mean, 2020 has been a lot. So
it has. It really has. The quarantine actually got me back to self-care. I found myself getting caught up in the hustle and bustle. You hear all the sirens, the streets, everything is just going on. But the minute we were forced into quarantine, it took me back to Little House on the Prairie. Like I told my child, you come home and you're going to work for the family business and get the crops. So we were able to be in silence and actually have quiet time. And what that did for me, it made me realize that one thing that I love the most about my family is little bitty things that we do. So for example, my husband, we drink coffee all the time. So getting up in the morning, having that morning cup of coffee and sitting outside was the perfect thing for me. With my business, I took the time to start laying out my day differently. When I was single on Sundays, that was the day when I would prepare my week. So I said, let me go back to that moment. So Sunday became that day where, hey, you focus on everything you have to do for the week, lay it out, and use that time to kind of go into a place of understanding how my week is going to flow out. And I started to do more relaxation things in the midst of it. So like, for instance, with my office, you have to set that tone and set that mood. So I walk in the office, I pick my essential oils for the day, I put it in my diffuser, I figure, how do I want to feel today? And then I get in my desk and I turn on my spa music, because I used to watch TV and get all that clutter in my head, but now I let the waves and the zen move me. Yes. I sit for a moment and then I start to work. And I lay out, because I have so many clients and so many people, I lay out what day you're going to be handled. Monday is going to be a different client than a Wednesday, which allows me to kind of stay in a box of focus so that I'm not being pulled, because people have a habit of taking you outside of your care to make their emergency your emergency. I can't live in that world anymore. I mean, the quarantine actually helped me realize that I have to be able to be healthy for me, because I can't be healthy for you if I don't take care of myself, because I'm going to snap at you and yell at you. And I don't want to do that. And I don't want to be in that space.
That's so true. When we get to that breaking point, we become snapping turtles. What would they call it? Snapping tappings? Yes.
Yes.
We don't need that life. Well, I mean, you know.
And the way, I'm gonna be quick because I know that we don't have a lot of time. So answer the second question because I may not get to my next question, if that's okay. So to help people do that, you have to have self-examination. You have to go back and do maintenance for yourself. You have to look and say, and some people have already said this, what makes me happy? Go back to that childhood space. If that was playing with sticks, if that was running outside in the field, whatever was that happy space for you, baking, whatever that was, find that and identify it. And then I didn't like nature. I really didn't. But I realized that outside is God's creation. And going into that space to actually bring myself at a level of comfort was key. But the first and the last thing was creating my posture. Some people's posture may be this, this, this. My posture is this. That's a level of prayer for me. When I bow my head and I do my morning meditation and I figure out and set my day to Psalms 91, I set my day. I tune in and I set it and I recite it every day. And for 4 straight months, I did it. I did it every day. And I'm still doing it. And I'm not going to stop doing it. And it just made me feel better. So you have to find what makes you tick. Not what makes somebody else tick. Not what makes your husband tick. What makes you tick. There you go.
I mean, I was waiting for some more, you know. I was just like, I was over here taking notes and everything. Like, all right, what makes me tick? You
What
know,
makes you tick? What makes you happy?
we have to switch it up every now and then. And I really like those. And I also recite Psalms 91 too. So thank you for that. Well, I think we got one more. Don't we got a slide from you to show you?
Well, we had a slide and we had another question, but whatever you want, I'm with you because we just.
I want to see this slide. You know,
I'm ready.
Because we need to go into these questions.
I'm ready for the slide.
I'm ready for the slide too, because we need that. Oh. Oh.
Nature talking to me and me choosing my words and forming words and taking negative thoughts out. So if something comes into my head right now that's negative, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it. I'm going to listen to that sound. I'm going to take a positive word and dump it in. So if you have an exercise that you could do, you can count to 10. And when you count to 10, in the midst of that, if you say your name out loud, count to 10 to yourself. Now say your name.
Chastity.
What happened to that word, to that thought? It went away. So when you're having negative thoughts, the minute something negative comes in, you think about that water and that peace and you say a positive word, which knocks out that negative. As long as we form our lives and let our words form us, self-care happens inside. We got to do a mental change first. You change the way you think, it operates and let your body changes because we make better decisions about our movements in our life.
Yes. We just need a whole red light moment going on right here. I mean, you know, this is, I need to hear this before I go to bed at night, you know.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you so much, Alumna Mabry Whitted, for breaking it down and for bringing your awareness and for us to find our peace. If you all have any questions for Alumna Mabry Whitted, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now. We'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session, guys. And that time is now. Are y'all ready? Do we got some questions? Oh, we got some questions. Yay. Thank you again to our alumni panelists for bringing these insightful gems that have released today to go forth with you. We will go ahead and take some time for our questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type them into the Q&A box in your control panel. So now is the perfect time to engage with your alums and network and, you know, find your inner peace. Understand what self-care really is, your understanding, your self-care, figuring out who you are, and going forward with, you know, those tips that Alumna Hill gave to you earlier that she's going to have to write down because, you know, we need those tips in our lives, but that's cool. And, you know, Alumna Rose, Dr. Rose, she did a whole like piece, you know, it sounded like it could have been a sonnet or something like that. It was so poetic. She needs to write that down too. Cool. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to go to our first question for today. And this one is for anyone. This one comes from alumnus Clifford Johnson. It states, for anyone, this is very good information, but I am lucky enough to work at home because of the coronavirus. But working online is very difficult when you have a boss. It is more intense and my kids are out of school. How would you deal with this in terms of time management? So anyone can speak to that.
Well, I work from home and I'm my own boss, but I have a child at home. So the best thing to do is, first of all, you have to create that schedule for the child first. Creating that schedule to get his or her routine moving allows you now to go into your space. You have to be very intentional, create your workspace that's separate from your personal space, because we have a tendency, if you're in a personal space, you start to look at personal things. I'm in the kitchen, so I'm thinking about dinner, I'm thinking about cleaning up. So just creating that space and that time for you to go into your office and making sure that the child is doing the same thing. You have to be able to have two brains, and it was the hardest thing to do during the quarantine, to have kids moving around while you're still trying to work. But the key is to get them scheduled and get yourself scheduled so that you can kind of balance it and make their schedules run simultaneously with yours. Start when they start, end when they end, so that there's no interruption of time.
Mm.
That's good.
Great points. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alumna Mabry Wooded. The next question is for Alumna Hill, and this comes from alumnus Paul Hobson. He said, being a part of the Athletics Booster Association, how can the marching band ensemble take part of raising funds in a form of scholarships just as the athletes?
You do exactly the same thing that they do. You host events with your constituencies within the band community. I would strongly suggest that you create a network that allows you to reach the band alumni. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a music affiliate, isn't there, a part of the Alumni Association? So I would start there with that organization and partner with the leaders of the band and go from there. The sky's the limit as to what you can do, but you can host events and raise scholarship funds the same way everyone else does. And of course, you want to work with the university. I suggest you get with the Office of Institutional Advancement, as well as the music department, to try and structure the scholarships the way that you would like for them to work.
Thank you so much, Alumna Hill. Our next question comes from Alumna Erica May, and this question is to alumnus Timothy Williams. She said, what books or podcasts would you suggest? What resources do you use and would recommend for mental health and self-care?
That's a loaded one. Good question. Thank you for that. I follow different avenues, really depending on how I'm feeling my frequency. I recently just listened to this podcast by Samuel Harris, Can We Come Back from the Brink? It was talking about Black Lives Matter. I recommend anybody to listen to it because it's coming from a Caucasian guy. He was kind of, you're talking about Black Lives Matter, what can you offer? And he actually came from a different side of America when discussing things such as the mental health, the social climate, the political climate of what's going on in America, of, different, strategies of looking at race from the other side. And it was very thought-provoking. You definitely had to be open-minded to listen to it. I follow Bruce Lee. He has a good philosophy, be water. With that being said, it's just flowing with everything, being able to just adapt to your environment. Like I said, the book that I put in the group message, The Way of Superior Man, that's just not about men. That's about women as well too. It talks about the feminine and masculine energy of how those intertwine and how each one feeds off each other. But yeah, it's many different sources to look at. Patricia Hill Collins has some good work. Angela Davis, going back looking at some of those sisters. Angela Julie Cooper, she has some good work to listen to and read. Yeah, like I said, you just got to find out what you like. I like intellectual thought, so I go to people who have intellectual things to say, and it gets me motivated and going. So you just got to find out what you like, whatever your niche is.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Alumnus Williams, and maybe perhaps you could insert those into our post survey once we get ready to send it out for people to look at and follow.
Oh, I'm sorry. The mental health part. Dealing with the mental health part. That's, like I said, just knowing what makes you tick. Everybody has walls that need to be torn down and rebuilt. So you got to find out what wall you're going up against. Does it need to be climbed or does it need to be torn down?
Okay.
kind of cliche with Trump, but you just got to realize, like, you know, what is that going on with the mental health part? Either it's sexual frustration, financial, relationship, goal orientated. You just got to figure out, you know, what's going on with you inside. Nobody can really tell you until you tell the counselor, you know, what's going on.
Got it. Alumnus Clifford Johnson, he wants to know if you can definitely post the laws and those resources in the chat before we end, okay?
Chassie, did I thought I posted it. Did I already post it already? I thought I typed something in the chat. Is it there? Did anybody see it?
If it didn't, let me check and see. But I'll, oh yes, he did. Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Timothy. Whoop, whoop. All right. So our last question for this afternoon, we'll be sure to post the other questions and answers in our post survey since we are running out of time. But this question is for alumna Dr. Rhodes, and this comes from alumna Jonice Chisholm. She said, Dr. Rhodes, what happens when work for a manager that is always negative and seems to always focus on the negative? I remain positive, but it can be hard at times. What suggestions would you provide in this situation, or can you provide in this situation?
Okay, well, I'm going to make this short due to the fact that with other people, you change that person's habits, but you can change the way they react to you, so that when they come towards you with negative energy or negative comments, you need to stay positive and maybe switch that negative comment into something positive about that person or thing that talking about. So what you can do is change the conversation to talk about something else. And then another suggestion would be, do not engage and indulge in the negativity. Mm-hmm. So if they're providing that negative comment, you can respond with, okay, go back to what you're doing. So you want to remain your authentic self and don't allow others to your mind their negativity, because that's how we get stressed out, because we're taking on everybody else's negative vibes and we're allowing them to change our frame of mind. So you can't allow anybody to do that. So sometimes that's when you have to weave that time into your work day, to leave the office for a few minutes, go in the hallway, take a wasu moment, then come back and have that positive attitude. But don't allow anybody to change your state of mind. You change the way that they react to you. And when they feel that you're not going to deal with that negativity, they're not even going to bring it in your space anymore.
Say that. Thank you so much, alumna Dr. Rose, for that. We the rest of the questions we'll be sure to answer those in our post survey, and also get those tips and the laws and practices and resources, as well as public figures that they may follow, and podcasts that they follow, out to you all in the post survey. Okay, so thank you all for the questions. Please, please, please stay in contact with our alumni and look out for our upcoming webinars, which will take place Thursday, July 9th and Thursday, July 23rd from noon until 1 p.m. They will be every other Thursday following next month. Immediately following this webinar, you will receive a post survey, as I mentioned before. Please let us know what you think about today. Your feedback is truly appreciated. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here today. Special thanks to my colleagues, Senior Director of Alumni Relations, Mrs. Galen E. Gatewood-Joshua, and alumna Dr. Rose, who was pretty much doing two tasks today. Thank you so much for your stellar service. And to our awesome panelists for a remarkable job today. And we cannot thank you enough. The gems that you dropped, the advice on self-care, I mean, everything, it touched me. So I know it touched a lot of the panelists, a lot of the attendees today on the webinar. So thanks again for joining us today. And we will see you July 9th and the 23rd at noon. Look out for the announcements, guys, in your emails, and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at CAU Office of Alumni Relations. We're checking out.